Hey tech community, welcome back to our channel and welcome back to another next level tutorial for software-defined networking. It's 2025, so today we're going to be talking about Windows Server 2025 with software-defined networking and the future of networking. Now we want to arm you with the skills to be able to deploy software-defined networking, and the way we're going to do that is with two different demos. The first demo is using Windows Admin Center to install SDN. The second demo is using something called SDNExpress, which is our infrastructure as code engine to install SDN. So be sure to smash the like button, hit subscribe. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with yet another video, and please leave the comments below. Let's get into it.
In this method, we will install SDN with Windows Admin Center. Windows Admin Center is our tool of choice for Windows Server 2025. The first thing we should do is ensure all SDN extensions are up to date. Next, we'll add the cluster into Windows Admin Center and navigate into SDN infrastructure. You will notice two deployment options. Today we will focus our deployment on native SDN, requiring no virtual machines. We need to provide a REST name and REST IP. Do keep in mind that REST name is optional, especially if you do not wish to worry about dynamic DNS in AD. You can simply erase the REST name and deploy with a REST IP address. We will set the credential for installation and provide a storage path for a network controller files. This should be on shared storage. At this point, Admin Center will ask us for the credential again and installation has been commenced. More often than not we are asked what's happening behind the scenes with this install. Great news! We store all of the log files on the first node of the cluster inside of the Documents folder of the installation user. It's a full PowerShell transcript, easy to diagnose, easy to read. A few minutes later installation will complete and we can check the log file to ensure everything's good. Behind the scenes, Windows Admin Center is installing RSAT tools on the Admin Center gateway. When we reload the browser, you'll notice a slew of SDN extensions that show up on the left page, specifically network security groups, gateway connections, etc. We can also check the Network Controller tab and see the microservices are all in a ready state and SDN is configured. In this method we will install SDN with SDNExpress. The first step is to install SDNExpress module from PowerShell. Once that module is installed, you'll notice that we have a collection of configuration sample files. The one we will pay attention to today is the native SDN sample file. This is a sample file, so you'll need to change parameters to match your environment. One of those is where we wish to place the NC database. We need to ensure a folder is created on cluster or shared storage, set your domain as well, and set your management subnet, gateway, DNS, and VLAN ID. Ideally you should have these since the cluster should be formed prior to SDN install. Ideally you would have used network ATC, and then we need to set the domain credential, local admin credential, and NC username. We also need to set the IP address that we plan to use for network controller. Again, this is the IP address that's used for management of network controller. We'll provide the host names that make up the cluster and everything else can stay generic unless you decide to run virtual networks down the road. We'll also need to grab the vSwitch, which again this should be created by network ATC. We'll set that in the config file. Now, we are at the point where we can start the installation. First, we open PowerShell, set the credential for the installation and we'll store that in a variable called $cred. We will feed the sample file that we changed into the SDNExpress engine along with credentials. One thing, we are often asked, where are the log files? We store all of the log files inside of the same directory as the PowerShell module for SDNExpress. You'll notice quite a few text files that are created here. We can open up the latest, you'll see all of the steps we take, essentially a PowerShell transcript, easy to troubleshoot and tell what step you're on. Again, you can refresh that log file and you'll see everything that's taking place. Now behind the scenes we are setting VFP on the vSwitch, onlining the microservices that will show up on failover cluster. After this is completed, you have full VM security including network security groups, east-west flow logs, default network policies, tag-based segmentation, the entire security suite of SDN for network controller.